Hi everybody, my name is Mags Livingston from Lumia and I am talking today to the lovely Connie Weir. Connie has been coming to Lumia, Connie, since we opened really, about 12 years ago. Connie consults every Tuesday at Lumia, and I'm sure many of you already have met Connie. But like the rest of us, Connie is in splendid isolation in her lovely cottage in Kinross. So I thought it might be useful for you guys if Connie and I had a chat today, and Connie could maybe help us with some top tips during isolation. One of the things, Connie, that I've kind of struggled with during isolation is my sleep patterns. I found it really challenging, actually. I keep waking up during the night, and it's not that I'm overly worried, because I don't think consciously I'm overly worried about anything. But I certainly have found that my sleep patterns have been a bit all over the place. So I wondered if you had any top tips to help with us during lockdown.
For sure. And the sleep pattern interruption is pretty common at a time like this. I've been hearing that from a lot of people, and I think our general pattern is interrupted. Our daily pattern is completely on its head, so sleep patterns are bound to be disrupted, and it's bound to have an effect on that. There are lots of different tips for relaxing enough to go to sleep at night. And there's a lot of well-known ones, like keep the telly out the room, keep your phone away, which is really challenging at this point, because I think people are on their phones and on their screens a lot more at the moment. So try not to be checking in with the news and social media and everything all the time, and try and have a kind of buffer time before you go to bed, so you're not just watching the news and being traumatized and then trying to sleep. Try and wind down. But the best tip I've found in a long time, and I have good feedback from clients in this as well, it's worked for a lot of people, works for myself, is to either use a podcast or an audiobook. Audiobooks in particular are really, really good, and it's not about finding something you're really, really interested in or is super stimulating. It's actually more about the voice that's involved. So a nice calming narrator. I would choose the narrator over the content of the book, to be honest with you. So you've got a really nice voice, and the content of the book, something pretty, benign, really, nothing too challenging, nothing too stimulating, even a children's book. There's a good reason that we read our kids bedtime stories, and that's to get them off to sleep. It's not to give them something to think about. So it's the same principle. You're listening to something just to kind of put you off into a wee fantasy world and then lull you into sleep. And it doesn't matter if you miss half the book and have to go over it again every night. That's not the point. The point is you get off to sleep. And most smartphones, iPhones, have little earbuds that are quite comfortable to wear as well, so you're not disturbing anybody else, and they're quite comfortable that allow you just to go to sleep with them in, usually.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I'll definitely try it. Definitely. The other thing I was going to ask you about is anxiety. And obviously I know that's a huge conversation, and obviously we're only chatting for a few minutes. But have you got any kind of top tips to help with people that are maybe suffering from anxiety even for the first time, that they've maybe not even normally suffer from it, but given the current situation are struggling?
I think people are experiencing emotions right now that they maybe haven't experienced before, because it is such an unusual set of circumstances that we all find ourselves in, and nobody was prepared for it. Nobody had a handy book or pamphlet to say this is how you deal with it. Everybody's kind of at sea at the moment. And I think that it's important to recognise that, and it's important to acknowledge that it's okay if you don't feel okay. It's understandable if you don't feel okay, but to maybe have a handful of things that you've got at your fingertips that might help you. And it's a very much an individual thing. I'll cope with it different from you, different from the next person, and it is really kind of finding your own way through it and navigating your own way through it. For example, if you're a person that works with structure and really, responds well to that, then create yourself some structure, even if you're not at work. So, go to bed at roughly the same time, get up at roughly the same time, eat at roughly the same time, schedule when you go for your exercise, schedule when you watch Netflix, actually have kind of a timetable to work to. Work in some relaxation as well. Relaxation is really important right now, whatever that might mean to you. It doesn't necessarily mean 2 hours of meditation if that's not your thing. You know, it might be soaking in a bath, it might be painting your toenails, it might, you know, it might be having a facial, it might, whatever. I'm pulling things out the sky, but that might not work for you. You have to decide what is your thing that helps you just calm and soothe, and wind down a little bit. If you don't work with routine, that's fine too, but maybe have a kind of list somewhere of things that you know, depending on your energy levels, you can do. So if there's a bunch of chores to do, that's fine if you're feeling really energized and up for it. But if you've got absolutely no energy, then you've maybe got another bunch of things you can do that is more about self-care or relaxation or calming. And if that means binge watching on Netflix, that means that's what you do if that works well that day. Everybody's been given an allowance of exercise, so that is really important. If you can, wherever you live, get somewhere as close to nature as possible. That's, and not everybody has the luxury of, you know, a big garden or a park nearby, but if you can get somewhere where, you know, there's a bit of greenery, that really is important. One thing that I have, you know, minor rant here, but is be really careful with social media at the moment. I think it's one of the most dangerous things right now in this situation that we all find ourselves. I mean, it's got the potential to be toxic at the best of times, but I think now it can be dangerous. It can be really positive as well, because you can keep in touch with people, which is really important. But the kind of COVID competition that's going on, you know, that if people are sort of presenting some people are presenting their kind of best lives, and, you know, they've tutored the kids in 4 languages by now and redecorated the house, and, you know, and if that's your thing, great. You know, if you are doing that, that's fantastic. This isn't about judging that, but if it's not your thing, don't feel guilty if you're not doing it. You have to carve your own way through this, and that's okay. That's good enough. But don't compare yourself to other people, or you'll feel less than because you're doing something different. So be really careful about the kind of filtered lives that are presented on social media just now.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant advice. I feel as if I'm in a wee therapy session with you, Connie. It's magic. I love talking to you. I just love talking to you. So the other thing that you've done for our lovely clients, which I'm very, very grateful for, is you've put together just a 10-minute meditation, and we're going to put it on the link below here. And I listened to it myself, Connie, and I told you before we come on here, it's absolutely brilliant. And what I like about it, it's not too long, and it's there for everybody, no matter what level of meditation that you do. So if you're a real serious meditator, it's a brilliant wee snapshot 10 minutes that you can do amongst your other stuff. And if you're new to meditation, I love it because it's pretty straightforward, it's not overcomplicated, and you do have the best voice.
Oh.
The best voice.
Thank you, that's very kind.
And obviously, Connie, I know that you're obviously not coming to Lumia, you're not going to your clinics in St Andrews or Edinburgh, but you are doing some stuff from home, so I'll put down your details under here as well, and if anybody's up for a chat,
absolutely, yeah. I'm doing some consultations by FaceTime and Zoom and things like that, so yes, very, very happy to do that. And that's the other thing, as a wee kind of parting note, if I may, is to keep in touch with people. You know, the social distancing thing is a wee bit of an unfortunate term. It's physical distancing. You can keep in touch with people. You can use things like Zoom or FaceTime or the good old telephone, or say hello to somebody across the street. Make sure you're in touch with people. And if you're really, really struggling, the mental health services are all active. SAMH, Mind, they're all there. They're all contactable if you feel you're really struggling. But on my website, which I know you're going to put a link to, there are other tips that I've got as well. So, you know, there's more stuff on there if you want to have a wee look at that.
Right. That was lovely to talk to you, and I hope it's not too long until we're together.
I know, I miss you.
In the flesh. Well, thanks so much, Connie. I'll speak to you soon.
You're very welcome. Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.